Hello, welcome to Walkie Talkie, which is a bit problematical. For some reason my microphone didn't want to pair with my device this morning. Anyway, it's done it now. Had to jump on the old internet just to make sure. As when the smart technology is actually quite handy. Just do something here. There we go. So, we're at the start of a new week. And yeah, it's quite nice, as you can see. There's just how I like it. Anyway, I hope you're all doing well. It's a bit quiet on the old gaming front again. The GTA 6 thing, with it being postponed to November next year, is still the 4. But aside from that, it's reasonably quiet. There's some games that are coming out. I'm tempted by the age. What's it called now? It's basically the Zelda game that's a bit like Dynasty Warriors. I've forgotten what the hell it's called now. But anyway, I'm a little bit tempted by that, to be honest. I do like an odd bit of Dynasty Warriors now and then. So I am quite tempted. But we'll see. Even though I'm wearing a cap, I've got the sun right in my eyes. Which means it's negotiating a pathway with wet leaves on it. Wet leaves that have been well and truly trodden into the ground, as you can see. Makes it a little bit interesting. But we'll deal with it. So yeah, not much going on. See, I'm tempted by that. I do enjoy the Switch too. I just wish there was more games out for it, to be honest. It's a bit sparse, as I've said. I think that it might have served the Switch better if they'd have just held it back until they had a good supply of games. It's not enough just to go, oh well, here's a rack of games that we've got that were available on the Switch, and we'll just, you can upgrade or whatever. Now, God, when you're launching a console, my belief is you've got to go big. You've got to give people a reason to want it, to buy it. It's not enough just to throw it out there and hope people buy it. Because it's not just about when it launches, it's the continuous engagement, that you want people to have. You want people to buy the games, you want people to use it, not just to be gathering dust in the corner. Yeah, that's not the way forward. Anyhow, getting to the end of my intro walk, and I'll see you in the park. Oh, definitely got an issue with my microphone, it seems. It's not automatically pairing. It was doing and now it's not. I don't even understand how that can happen. How does something that was working perfectly fine now have to have me manually keep connecting when it was doing it automatically? I don't know. I'll have to look at that when I get in. Problem I don't need. Maybe the firmware can't need updating because it ain't been updated. On the camera either, so it's not like one's updated and one hasn't, so they're out of sync. I don't know. Another bloody problem. Shitty technology. Anyway, well, it pairs anyway. See if I can fix it. So, yeah. Video game front, nothing today. I think that, like I say, I'm going to have to come up with other things to talk about. Video games are a bit of a bust right now on the old conversation front. Yeah. Mind you, I mean, what is there to talk about? Said there's not much coming out. What have I been playing? Well, I played Power Wash Simulator 2. I've played that and finished it. So that's that. That was pretty good fun. It's a nice, relaxing game. I enjoyed that quite a lot. So, yeah. Not been playing. I went. I did play more of the F1 game. I'm actually moved to the Ferrari team, and the issue of the ridiculous being caught and passed on a straight by cars that are nowhere near that level of straight line speed is prevalent. It reminds me of the old rubber banding they used to put into games years ago when they couldn't actually figure out a way of making the AI competitive. So what they used to do was just have this rubber banding where cars would unfeasibly keep catching up to you in the game, in the races. They'll keep catching up, and it would absolutely drive me insane. I think that the old Need for Speed games used to do that. You used to catch up to them dead easy. Burnout was notorious for that as well. You catch up to them really, really easily, and then once you've caught up with them, and got past them and you'd start to pull away from them, they'd suddenly find like an extra 50 miles per hour, and then they'd be catching right back up to you. It was absolute bullshit. It was nonsense. Yeah, absolutely hated that tech, that gameplay. And it's what put me off the Burnout games for a number of years. Once I had other games that come out that didn't do that were more realistic, I started to play them, and I kind of ditched the Need for Speed games and the Burnout games. They were fun, but I never, I went from playing them all the time to not really playing them at all, which was a shame. I mean, they were good games, but like I say, just didn't like the idea that I didn't like that gameplay mechanic. And it's not quite the same in F1 because you can pull away from cars, but it is quite a pathetic mechanic when all's said and done. I think that if you can't, it's like I've said, get people in that can put together a good road mechanic, good road behaviour in terms of the AI of the other cars. But yeah, when you've got a Sauber, literally raking up behind you, it's a bit daft. Like I say, that's the main issue that I have with the F1 game. That and some of the other dodgy stuff that happens. Your race engineer being a complete idiot, complaining about your tyres overheating when you've literally just changed your tyres and come out of the pits. But it's demonstrably impossible unless they had the tyre warmer settings too high in the pit lane. Your tyres cannot be overheating at turn 1 coming out of the pits. It's just not a possibility. And it's just lazy programming to me. They've put these stupid little things into the game that, your tyres are overheating. I guess the intent is to make it somewhat more realistic, to give you the kind of challenges that the F1 drivers face during a race, rather than you just going out there and racing. You've got to consider preserving your tyres and all of this, but it's got to work. You can't just throw things into the game. The mechanic has to work, and that's not what's happening, unfortunately. I don't fully understand why they've put that into the game, but like I say, I do understand why. I don't understand why they haven't taken it out when it clearly doesn't work properly. And it gives you these objectives, and you can fail them, and you'll overtake someone easily. And this is where I think this catch-up rubber banding crap comes in. I'll catch up somebody, literally, I've come out of the pits and they've been 5 or 6 seconds ahead of me, and within 2 laps I'm right behind them. Now in F1 terms, you know, that means I'm taking over a second a lap out of them, which means I am so much faster. You know, the F1, they're practically stationary in F1 terms. And I will blast past them, and then I'll get a message. It's important to our race strategy that you keep the driver you've just overtaken. So let's just say, I don't know, it's important that you keep Charles Leclerc behind you until lap 10. I don't know why it is a specified number of laps. I don't understand that part, but anyway, that's the thing. And you know, lap or two, like I say, you've just flown past them, you've left them for dead. Let's say it's like 5 laps you have to stay ahead of them. As you go into the second lap, literally they start taking like, you know, 7/10 of a, they start taking a huge amount of time, nearly a second a lap, until they're right behind you. This is not how it works in F1. Like cars, yes, they do have DRS, but you have to be within 1 second of the car in front. If I've left them behind and I'm 3 or 4 seconds ahead, they don't get DRS, they're toast. Now in reality, I would continuously keep pulling away from them unless I had a problem with the car. But I don't. And my lap times are consistent. And yet somehow they get a speed boost just to make this bit more challenging. It's pathetic. That's not how it works. If you're trying to be the official Formula One game, you know, and be the most accurate representation of Formula One, you know, in its presentation, every element of it, you're trying to imitate F1. You can't then put in an arcade mechanic into that mix, because then you're just becoming F1 Legends, which, by the way, F1 Legends does not have that mechanic in, as far as I'm aware, the catch up. When I overtake cars, if I'm faster, I just keep pulling away, because that's how it works in real life. So I'm somewhat surprised that a game that markets itself on being the officially licensed product of the FIA Formula One, that is officially that, I'm somewhat surprised, I have to say, that the game doesn't acknowledge that, with the way it has these ridiculous, silly arcade things that I would have expected to have found in a lesser product. Well, not lesser, but a more arcadey-like product. I mean, that wasn't even in the old F1 games on PlayStation back in the 90s. You know, they were just, this is F1. I mean, it played a little bit more arcade-like in its handling and so on, but that was because it was on a PlayStation. It didn't have the capability to give you a more realistic racing experience, the physics and stuff like that. It just wasn't capable. But it didn't have that nonsense in it. It didn't have that ridiculous mechanic in there. So I mean, I'm sat there and I'm like, really? Like, this is what we're dealing with? And it was doing it again. This time it was somebody in the Williams. I actually lapped them. This is at the Chinese Grand Prix, and at a big long straight, I was making a note of it. If I do think on, I might do a video on it, see if I can get it to replicate it, because it doesn't happen all the time. That's the problem. It's almost like the races are scripted, which should never be the case in a racing game. But that's kind of what it feels like. And yeah, if I think on, I might try and do a video of it to show it. But yeah, I'm like going to the straight, heading down towards the start-finish line. You got a long straight, you can get over 200 miles an hour on it into a tight right-hand hairpin, and it's a little jog to a tight left, and then over the start-finish line. And as I say, as I turn into this straight, I'm about 3.5 seconds ahead of this Williams that I've just lapped. And I'm going down there. The next thing you know, you get like a little warning arrow that there's a car behind you. Suddenly, that appears. And as the car gets closer, the arrow becomes more intense. And then it turns red. I'm like, oh, okay. Yeah. And suddenly the bloody thing's right behind me. Yeah. The red arrow shows itself. Car's right behind me and pulls up alongside of me like edges in front. I'm like, not even a McLaren could do that. And that's currently the best car on the grid in real Formula One. Now, these games, there is an update that you do, and these updates basically bring real life statistics and form of drivers into the game, so it's bang up to date. It's not like, oh, it's using old data. Not that that would matter anyway. A Williams has never been able to do that for years. So that part is up to date. And I'm like, really, guys? This is what we're doing? So going into then, because I've got the racing line, going into the left-hander, like, I go to turn, and he just turns into me. Like, I'm like, my front wheels are ahead of his. He turns into me because he's a knobhead, and I get a warning. Okay, his car hit me. I didn't hit him. He needed to back off. So a back marker who suddenly gets a ramjet for an engine, briefly, pulls up alongside, he edges his nose ahead of mine. I'm holding the racing line. If you can imagine, I've given him room on the right hand corner. I could have cut him off and probably hit him. But going into the left hand corner, I'm now on the racing line. He has to back off. And I'm ahead of him. His front wheels at that point are where the side pod, you know, they're about adjacent to where my driver's helmet is. So he turns in, because he's a gormless idiot, hits my car, and I get the warning. Now, you can only get so many warnings in F1 before you get a time reduction or a drive-through penalty, or a time penalty, should I say, or a drive-through penalty. Now, in this instance, it didn't. However, my team has targets that you set in the weekend, and this is where the game falls over yet again. So the important thing to note there, I received no penalty, it was a warning. I then finished the race and it has failed one of the challenges. It reckons I got a penalty. Somebody needs to explain to Codemasters a penalty is something that affects your race in terms of being time, either post race or during the race. I received no penalty. Clearly tells you at the end of the race if you receive any kind of penalty. So not only did I have to endure the fact that the idiot AI can't drive, I now have to also endure the fact that the idiot game doesn't know the difference between a warning and a penalty. Now all of these things are implemented to affect your rating as a driver. That rating then computes towards your ability to get upgrades for the car. Now, that system is deeply flawed, hasn't worked properly from day one. You know, I've raced 4 F1 seasons, won the World Championship 4 times. The season I've just come from, I won 23 out of 24 Grand Prix and finished second in the Miami Grand Prix, thanks to my idiot race engineer doing the wrong call for tyres in bad weather. So I had to do an extra pit stop because of the idiot artificial intelligence of your race engineer being a moron. The lesson there to learn is in the F1 25 game by Codemasters. Don't listen to your race engineer because he's a dipstick and has absolutely no idea what he's talking about. Lesson learned. So yeah, you would think that I wouldn't have to fight, I wouldn't have to battle to be a number one driver at a team, no matter what team it is on the grid, in order to get the upgrades needed for the car. You wouldn't think that, would you? But oh no. You do. Because there is a mechanic, which is fair enough, but there's another mechanic that's in play just to complicate things even further. And that mechanic is loyalty to the team. So it depends how long you've been with the team as well, which is daft. You know, it's a bit nonsensical. At the start of your F1 career in your first season, I can see that being a factor, but I think once you've won world titles, you know, and you have, you know, like a ridiculous number of race wins, that mechanic should just go away, because it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense at that point. But that's a minor quibble, to be honest. So yeah, this is just part of the problem with that game. Now the game, you know, the F1 season's coming to an end. Game's been out for I think 3 or 4 months now, and it's still got these problems. This is very typical of Codemasters. They will dance around fixing the major problems that really annoys people. Usually stuff to do with the multiplayer, they'll be tweaking things with that, but they don't really roll out fixes that actually impact the game when you're playing it. And then when they do that, when they actually do get round to it, usually about a month before the next one's due to come out, as I've said before, when that comes out, all of the problems are back. Hooray! Everything they've fixed tends to go by the wayside. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that wonderful? I've spoke about that one before. But yeah, that's what I've been wasting my time on. I do want to play Le Mans Ultimate, have that on PC, which is supposed to be the official endurance car, World Endurance Championship game. Well, it is. This is what they say it is. But there's no actual championship, you know. There's no championship. It's just a series of standalone races. It's one of the most bare bones racing games ever. And they've been continuously charging people for content. But it's clear that then, I don't even think they'll do it. I do not think that they will actually fix that game now. I don't think they'll put this championship in. It's been out for quite some time. And they released it. It went from like early access to full release, and they've not put it in. As far as I'm aware, and I might be wrong, but as far as I'm aware, they've not even set a specific date for when they're going to implement this thing. I mean, they come out with this excuse. I was watching an interview with one of the developers, and the developer or the head of the development said, "Oh, well, we want to make sure it's right. We want to make sure it's like the most innovative, blah, blah, blah championship." No, just do what they do in the real world. You get selected to race for a team, and you race for that team for the season or however long. You have a championship. You score points. It's not complex. What is there to be complicated about? There's nothing to be complicated about it. Just do that. Stop wasting time and messing about and talking absolute flannel, because what will happen, I've got a feeling they'll just say, "Oh, well, we've run out of money." Because they seem to be, and again, I might be wrong, but given the fact that they keep charging for content that should have already been in the game when it was released fully, like all the circuits and cars should have been in there. They should have been in there. There should have been a full championship mode for single player. That should have been in there. And it's not. Now, they keep charging you every time they put, some circuits and new cars in. They keep charging you. You can either pay for them individually or get a season pass. Well, initially I bought the season pass because I wanted to support them when this was in early access, because it's actually a really good game. It plays really nice, even with a controller. It's very scalable, and it plays really nice. It's a really nice game, really nice handling in it. So from that aspect, they've clearly put quite a considerable amount of effort in. But unfortunately, the game itself is just too sparse, and you get bored of it. I mean, endurance racing, by their very definition, you're spending a lot of time on the track. I mean, you can have up to 24 hours real time. It's all real time. It's not like with other racing games like the F1 game, where you can scale back the number of laps. It's based on laps, and you can adjust it that way. No, this is based on time, and you can save the game. So you can race the Le Mans 24 in real time, and then you can save the game. You go into the pits, click save. It's brilliant. Very simple, intuitive. That side of it works great. But there's just nothing to do. Like, let's just say you do a real-time 12-hour race. Obviously you're saving it possibly every 2 or 3 hours. And at the end of that, you win the race. And that's it. Game over. You start again. You start again with a new season. A new race. There's no progression. Nothing. Not very good, is it? You know what I mean? And they've had plenty of time to introduce that element now, and they haven't. And you're just getting to the point now where you're like, you know what? Starting not to like this. Starting to get a bit bored. I'm not motivated to keep playing it because I don't feel like there's any progression to anything. You know what I mean? It's like you just, wow, we're going around in circles. And at the end of it, I don't get any points. You don't even get a trophy and nothing. You get nothing. So it really is, I think, just going to be built for online multiplayer, which is a shame, because even though I've paid for it, my patience is wearing a bit thin, waiting for this single player. You know, getting a bit bored now. So yeah, I think that's about it really for today. I'll try and think of a topic. Wouldn't hold my breath. And yeah, I think that'll do. So thanks for watching, and I'll catch you later.